Demonstrating our faith. It was a quiet Sabbath the day after Jesus died. From the perspective of the Passover pilgrims, the Romans, the Jews, or the disciples, the events of Friday made the day anything but good. Jesus' body was claimed from Pilate by Joseph of Arimathea, a wealthy and generous man. Nicodemus, who had a secret encounter with Jesus in John 3, joined him and brought the burial spices. Both men were part of the Sanhedrin, but believed Jesus was who he said he was, the Messiah long promised by the Lord. Together, they placed Jesus in a donated tomb cut out of a rock. The tomb was sealed and guarded by Roman centurions, just in case. But it was the Sabbath, a day of reflection and rest in the Lord. For the disciples, the public followers of Jesus, it must have been a day of confusion as they were laying low. The man they put their total trust in, the one they acknowledged as the Christ, their rescuer and redeemer, was dead. But they had heard the promise that he would return. In Matthew 20:17 through 19. Now, as Jesus was going up to Jerusalem, he took the 12 disciples aside and said to them, "We are going up to Jerusalem, and the Son of Man will be betrayed to the chief priests and the teachers of the law. They will condemn him to death and will turn him over to the Gentiles to be mocked and flogged and crucified. On the third day, he will be raised to life." Recounting the words of Jesus, both acknowledging that he was the Messiah and promising that he would return, certainly made them question everything. Not so for Joseph and Nicodemus. Remember, they were part of the Jewish leadership that sent Jesus to the cross, although Joseph did not agree. They were students and teachers of the Scriptures. They knew the prophecies of the Old Testament and how they pointed to the Messiah, his birth, his miracles, his ministry, his teachings, the events leading up to his death, and his resurrection. They might have even considered the story of Job. In Job 19:25 through 27, it's written, "I know that my Redeemer lives, and that in the end he will stand on the earth. And after my skin has been destroyed, yet in my flesh I will see God. I myself will see him with my own eyes, I, and not another. How my heart yearns within me." And how King David, of which Jesus was his direct descendant, was writing about his safety. But that could be applied and was by the Apostle Paul in Antioch in Acts 13:35 through 37 to Jesus' resurrection. In Psalm 16:8 through 11, "I keep my eyes always on the Lord. With him at my right hand, I will not be shaken. Therefore, my heart is glad, and my tongue rejoices. My body will also rest secure, because you will not abandon me to the realm of the dead, nor will you let your faithful one see decay. You make known to me the path of life. You will fill me with joy in your presence, with eternal pleasures at your right hand." Now, Joe and Nick probably also record Isaiah's words in their heads. In Isaiah 53, verses 10 through 11, "Yet it was the Lord's will to crush him and cause him to suffer. And though the Lord makes his life a guilt offering, he will see his offspring and prolong his days, and the will of the Lord will prosper in his hand. After the suffering of his soul, he will see the light of life and be satisfied. By his knowledge my righteous servant will justify many, and he will bear their iniquities. The prophet Daniel, speaking on behalf of God, delivered the Father's perspective in Daniel 12, starting in verse 2. Multitudes who sleep in the dust of the earth will awake, some to everlasting life, others to shame and everlasting contempt. Those who are wise will shine like the brightness of the heavens, and those who lead many to righteousness like the stars forever and ever. Consider how these two sets of believers handled Jesus' death. The disciples hid in secret after publicly proclaiming Christ as Lord and Savior, looking to slip out of Jerusalem among the crowd of pilgrims. On the other hand, Joseph and Nicodemus hid their commitment to Christ, but publicly proclaimed their faith after his death. Joseph confidently and sacrificially gave up his grave, because maybe he knew it was on loan. Nicodemus demonstrated his love and respect for Jesus by giving him a proper, albeit temporary, burial. How we share our faith in the Savior allows us the opportunity to lead others to a saving knowledge of Him. Our willingness to be bold in humility will speak volumes to the ones who need to hear it.